So as you can kind of see, I've staked my zucchinis to grow vertically because I really want to preserve as much space as I can in these beds. But I've also realized if I'm growing them to save space, I probably need to underplant something else. So I went and bought a whole heap of seedlings from my local nursery, hashtag support your local nurseries. And I'm going to underplant a whole bunch of things and kind of just have a bit of a play. Given this is my first year in this space, just kind of seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. I've got a mix of leafy greens of a whole bunch of different varieties. I've got some peas and beans that I'm just going to be scattering in between, and I'm also going to do the other bed that's out of shot over there. Yeah, just to kind of fill out the space a little bit more. So let's go. Okay, so I'm back with the seedlings, and this is going to look like a lot, but my theory is that the more soil space we take up, the less space we have to mulch, and the less space that is going to go dry and be uncovered. And soil really doesn't like to be uncovered, so as much space as we can cram in, that would be amazing. And I should also stress that not all of this is going in here, because this is a lot of plants in here, so it's not all going in here, but some of it will. Children laughing next door kind of sound very horror movie-esque, but you get that on the big jobs. Yep. And let's just first up just trying to run through some of the varieties that we're working with. So first up we've got some honey snap peas, and along the same kind of lines we've also got some Massey Gem pea seeds that we're going to be planting as well. And I really like the idea of growing legumes. I haven't really done a lot of it, but they are nitrogen fixing for the soil, so kind of replenishing a lot of the nitrogen that these guys will take out of the soil. The zucchinis and the tomatoes and peppers and that kind of thing will like a lot of nitrogen, so they'll just kind of fix it. I also want to grow some leafy greens here. It doesn't get a lot of sun during the day, but in the afternoon it does get a bit. So I want to kind of give it a go just to see if it'll work. I've got some baby cos mixed lettuce, got some perpetual spinach, got some Blue Ridge kale, and some rainbow chard and some silver beet. Now these are kind of like interchangeable, but these have funkier colors, and they were a little bit sad. They were on the discount table, so wanted to give it a go. But I really like the idea of growing these kinds of things because I don't necessarily want to buy like a whole heap of silver beet, but I do want to have some. So like, it's really good to grow, I think. And I've also never grown eggplant. I don't know how I've gone this many seasons of growing things without growing eggplant. So I just kind of wanted to give it a go, honestly. I don't even, given that it's in a bed with zucchinis and there are tomatoes right over there, perhaps maybe we'll try out making some ratatouille or something with it. And I've also got another echinacea purple cone flower, if you're into regular names, just to kind of spot in somewhere because I do like them. They're very pretty. They are medicinal. I haven't grown them to flower. I've had plants before, but they've never flowered. And as kind of like a standard space filler, I've got some baby carrots just to kind of sprinkle chaos garden style all the way through. I've never grown carrots that we've been able to eat. I've always just kind of had chaos carrots that have broken up the bed or done that kind of thing. Nothing that's really grown so I can have a carrot that I've grown. I think we're going to need to move the camera. Okay, so at this end of the garden bed, we do have some nasturtiums. They're just kind of, ooh, they're tangled. I kind of grow nasturtiums more of a trap crop more than anything else. Most things in the garden, like your white cabbage moth and that kind of thing, most of that around here at least will prefer to eat nasturtiums rather than zucchinis, cucumbers, that kind of thing. So most of my beds have got at least a nasturtium plant in it. I'm going to train them. I'm going to push them so they grow that way and kind of spill out and they can just grow that way. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 seedlings in here. I'm thinking maybe max of about 5 will go in this little space here just to, you know, overcrowd. That's never gone poorly for anyone, has it? And what I will do is shove these stakes in. Are they in a straight line? No. Are they kind of in a straight line? No. But it's fine. I'll put these in and we'll see how well they go if I need to like trellis up some more, but it can be achieved. I'll get my seedlings, pop them out of their little thingamajig. It's very technical language going on here. Oh, they've divvied up into 5s. How good is that? Okay, pull them apart. And just to kind of pull, that's a bad example. Just to kind of show you how I'm shimmying them apart. So separate all the tangly bits and the leaves and the tendrils and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of gently pull your plants apart. These punnets are really, really good for this. Like, it's not as hard as it could be, particularly this species, but you just kind of want to gently pull your plants apart. Should I be wearing gloves? Yeah, probably. Am I? No. Push back some soil, stick them in, and there we go. Maybe because I said I will put 5 in here, I will actually put 5 stakes because I'm smart. Now in front of this one, same deal. Push back your soil, plant in, pat down, sweet. And I'm kind of just wrapping them a little bit more towards the stake that I've got them right in front of, just to kind of, again, train, push them towards that kind of a structure. So the soil that I have in my raised beds is literally just cow manure and straw that's been composted. My parents have a farm, so it's quite an accessible thing for me to access, and it's really good, like quite high nutrient content. It's lots of soil microbiomes science, lots of that kind of thing to keep the plants, give the plants a really good head start. This structure that's at the back here as well is a sub-pod worm farm. I don't know if they still make them anymore. Well, they're my peas at this end of the garden. Will now try and fill in this space while it looks like I'm in jail. So the rest of these peas that are already sprouted, I'm going to put in the pot that's way back there. But in this section, there's actually quite a lot of perpetual spinach in here. So I'm thinking maybe I'll put some perpetual spinach in there. And I've also got a portable garden bed that I'm going to put in a more heat protected section of the garden, just because I know that a lot of leafy greens like to just bolt. The kale I know is a cool weather crop. I do know that, and it's November now. But our spring is taking a hot minute to load. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just give it a go, see what we can get, and if it bolts, it bolts. It is fine at the end of the day. Kale tag says it wants about 1/2 meter. I am inclined to not believe her. You know what, we'll see, okay? We'll pull out some rainbow chard, because that looks like it wants to be really in the ground. Yeah, I think the rainbow chard, perpetual spinach, that kale, and that eggplant is going to go at the end of the bed there. And I think that'll be enough. I think that'll be nice and full, and then we'll move on to the other bed. I think that'll be sweet. This is a really root-bound little kale plant. I think she's been in her pot a little bit too long, or she's just grown really quickly. So I'm just going to tease the roots out a little bit. Probably should have researched whether kale actually wants me to do that, but it's done now. So I'm just kind of picking a spot. That's absolutely fine. And the reason I like this soil mix as well is because it is so ready to plant into, but it also composts even as the season's gone on. Like, this soil level has dropped significantly since I put this mix in, but it's breaking down. It's got all that beneficial bacteria, microorganisms, worms are in here. It's a really good mix. Sometimes you get these massive bits though. They're less great for planting in, so you just kind of got to move things around, but that's all right. Let's separate some of these perpetual spinaches out. This kind of intercropping is probably leaning more into overplanting this bed. I am aware of that. We'll find out in a little while if I'm going to regret this decision entirely. Separate out. Oh my God. So I think we should be fine. And realistically, nothing is going to be overcrowded that isn't going to be pruned. Oh my God, there's so many plants in here. Okay, some of these clumps are definitely going into a different garden bed, because this is whack. Separated out a lot of plants, and I'm just gonna, again, just start picking spots, putting it in, tamping it down, and we'll see in a few weeks if it grows. Some of these things will suffer a bit of transplant shock, and that is completely okay. To prevent that, what you can do is use seaweed solution, brand name Sea Salt, kind of doesn't matter either way. I've got a concentrate powder that I believe is from, no, I'm not even going to speculate at the brand, I can't remember, but that lasts me a really long time. And again, never really grown perpetual spinach, never had a big garden full of leafy greens, so I'm interested to see how this goes. That one is going to go in the tray with the honey snap peas, and we'll plant them somewhere else. Rainbow chard. Again, these punnets are really good value for money, I find, because you often get way more plants that you would ever want or need. Just gonna break them up into little cells. How many plants are we looking at after all of this? 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 is going to be way too many for in here. I'm going to pick a couple and put them in, and the rest can go in another spot. Red, pink, and yellow. And I want to stress, if you're not like, what's a kind way of saying obsessive about your garden as I am, this kind of overplanting might not be for you, just because you do have to keep an eye on it and make sure things aren't getting overgrown or overcrowded or diseases or any of that kind of thing. So that's a pretty good spread, I think, and I'll put the eggplant in at the end there, but then I think we can move on to another bed. And now we're at the last bit, which is just filling this old portable veggie bed, plastic veggie bed from, I think, Bunnings, with some... Hello, how are you doing today? Are you helping? Okay. You help. Very good helper. I'm going to do things. Are you good with that? Yeah, okay, you just sit here. So we're going to fill this garden bed with just some all-purpose potting mix, and then I'm going to put the rest of the lettuce and the silver beet and the rainbow chard seedlings just kind of in here. If they grow, they grow. If they don't, they don't. It's fine. You are in like the... Thank you. Now there is water in the bottom of this pot because it rained quite heavily the other day. I'm kind of not stressed about it because it's just going to realistically just wet the soil anyway and just keep it a little bit moister. I just got another bag because that didn't fill it. When you are getting potting mix, I do encourage you to get the best potting mix you can for your price point, just because it's so much less work that you have to do. Your plants will do better if they're in a premium mix, but if you can only afford like a basic mix, that doesn't mean your plants aren't going to do well. You just might need to get some fertilizer and amend the soil and do a bit of research, but it can be done. And you'll notice I lost my canine helper, and that's because I look like I was working, and what if I asked her to do something? That would be terrible. So little seedlings, throwing them in. I'm not paying attention to any of the spacing guidelines because, again, I'm just kind of giving it a go. And this is a leftover bed situation, like it's not that deep, like both literally and figuratively. This bed isn't that deep, so these plants might struggle a little bit more anyway. Chances are they are going to die, but that's okay. We'll live with it. Separating, and the rest of the perpetual spinach. And we'll chuck that in there. And that's it. And I will, oh, there's a spare one. In you go. And that's it. I'll throw some mulch around them just to kind of keep the moisture in as we come into summer. But realistically, just by kind of like throwing things in dirt, we've just saved a lot of space that would be underutilized and just tried to get the most out of the season. Leafy greens are very often short-lived crops. They tend to bolt really easily in the summer. So like we'll just throw it in dirt, see if they live. If they don't, they don't. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, that's kind of it for today. Thanks.